many times that I miss you. I know how to call when I want to. Now you got way bigger issues. That's Bruce. That's Bruce. That's Bruce.
Shopping and spending the cash. There is no mercy for money. Why? But you the cash. Billionaire, when you cash. Shopping and spending the cash. There is no mercy.
In the last video, I made Milkmaid pattern drafting tutorial. Today is going to be the sewing tutorial for this Milkmaid dress. So guys, this is a continuation of the Milkmaid dress that we made the last time. This part is the sewing tutorial. So guys, I have already, if you have not watched that video, make sure you watch it so that you follow up with this sewing tutorial. So this is my back. As you can see, I have added interfacing to the main fabric. There is no interfacing for this. Also for the front, I have added interfacing for the main fabric. I didn't add any interfacing to this one. Can you guys see? So this is the Basque Waistline. I joined it to this one. If you have not watched how I made that, make sure you watch how I made that. Today we are going to be cutting the sleeve and the lower part of this Milkmaid, the Basque Waistline. I also have strips of fabric for this to tie the Milkmaid shape. This is the fabric I cut out for the ruche on the front, the draping for the Milkmaid. So guys, if you have not watched this video how I made this, you need to watch it so that you follow up with this. Now we are going to be cutting the lower part and we're going to cut the sleeve also. So first of all, let's cut the lower part. So to cut the lower part of the back, we have to measure what you have, the waistline. You measure it, whatever you have. That is after you must have added after you must have closed your that. Whatever you have here, you're going to times that by 3 and you add sewing allowance to the two sides. Whatever you have is what you're going to cut out for the back. For the length, I'm working with 27 inches and that is what I will cut out. So this is what I have here. I times the back waistline by 3 and cut out this fabric. So I'm just going to cut open this side for the zipper allowance. Next, we are going to be cutting the front. So to cut the gathers for the front, also I will measure what I have. Remember, this is the waistline. Whatever this is, I'm going to times that by 3 and add sewing allowance to that. So for the length of the gathers, I'm going to take from where the back started down to the hem. That is what I have. Now we are going to be cutting the Basque waistline. So guys, remember that from the waistline to this place is 1.5. Just measure from here to here 1.5 and from here 1.5. So I'm just going to measure that. Guys, from this point I lost my footage, but I'm going to explain to you what I did on a plain paper so that you follow up with this. I'm so sorry about that. So guys, I just watched and found out that I lost some clips of what I was making. I'm so sorry about that. So what I did for the gathers is that this is the center front. Can you guys see? This is the center front. You join these two together. So I took the measurements like I was saying before the camera cut. This is the waistline. So I came down from the waistline 1.5 before I started the back waistline. So the 1.5 that I have from here to here, I'm going to also measure that down here, 1.5, from here to here 1.5, and I'll measure from this place down to this place. So whatever I have, let me measure it and see. So from here to here 1.5 is here. So from here to here is 6.5. So guys, what I did was I times this by 2, my waistline I times it by 3. Whatever I had, I cut out my fabric, long fabric, the same with sewing allowance, I cut it like that. And when I place it on fold, this will be the center front and the center back. And so what I did, so that I will still get the same measurements, the length of the hem will be equal. It will not have a V or a basque effect at the hem of the dress. So what I did is that the 6.5 I got here, I came down here from here to here 6.5, and I connected it to this place like this. I'm so sorry guys, I already did this in the last tutorial that I made, so it's the same thing. It's just that I know you guys would have loved to see it on this same fabric, but if you watch that video you will see that it's the same thing that I did. So I just cut it out like this, and that was what I did. And so your fabric will now be something like this, so that by the time it enters, it will enter like this. After you have gathered it, it will enter like this, and the hem will still be the same thing. So these things happens a lot. I didn't know that clip. Thank God I saw that before I finished this tutorial. It would have been I wouldn't have been happy at all. Okay guys, next we're going to be cutting the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, her round sleeve is 11 inches. I'm going to times that by 2, which will give me 22, and that is what I am going to use here. So 22 divided by 2 will give me 11, and I'm going to add sewing allowance to that, and that will be here. And I have folded this in 4 for the 2 sleeves. So the next thing we'll do, we're going to start the measurement from here. Next, you're going to come down 3 inches, and that is because we're making gathers for this. You're going to come down 3 inches here. If you're to make it a normal sleeve, you're going to come down 5 inches. So I'm going to come down here 3 inches, and we're going to make the curve. Let me just make a lazy man curve here, just for you to have a guide on what I'm doing. So this will be the shape for the sleeve, but we are going to come back to this. Now for the length of the sleeve, I'm using is 24 inches. I will add half inch, I'll add 1 inch sewing allowance to that, which will make it 25. But because we are going to be having some puff at this place, we have 2 elastic to add. I'll be adding 3 inches for each of the puff, which will make it 6 inches. So I have added 6 inches here. I'm going to mark for where the elastic will be. So for the elastic, I will measure 10 inches here, and I'll mark it here like this. For the first elastic, I'll mark it here, and the next one I will make it 18 inches. I'll mark it here. So I'll just give a notch here for me to know where they are, and I'll make the final one, which will be 25 inches. So I'll mark it here. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 notches for that. Let me notch it so I don't forget. So now, because the upper side is puffed, I'm going to times my sleeve head by 3. Whatever I get, I will add it here. So from here to here is by 3. I'm going to mark it here, and I'll add sewing allowance to that for elastic, and that is what brought it here. So I'm just going to connect this like this. So just connect it like that. Can you guys see? So when you're joining it to the fabric, you just stop somewhere here, and you're going to put elastic to somewhere like this. Can you guys see? Yes. So I'm going to just cut out the side seam. So we'll go ahead and go and join this. If you add elastic here, add another one here, and add the final one here, and then this one will be okay. So sewing this, I'll go to my machine now. First of all, this is the center front. Can you guys see? So I'll just go ahead and fold this like this, and fold it again, the same thing to this side, and I'm going to fold this like this. You could fold it first and fold it again. This is where the rope will pass from, and I'm going to make the rope and pass it from this place, and then I will gather the lower part. After gathering it, I'll now put it here. I'll put it here. Can you guys see? I'll put it here like this and use the lining and turn this. So guys, I'm done stitching it, as you can see. Yeah, after gathering it, I use the lining. Can you guys see? I use the lining to turn it. After gathering this, I now use the lining to turn this. This is the back. I've also gone ahead and turned the neckline. Can you guys see? So the next thing I would do is to bring my gathered piece, and I'm going to, I've also gone ahead and gathered it, so I'm just going to attach this to this place. Can you guys see? And I'll go ahead and add the zipper for it. Since there is no lining for this, I'm just going to place this like this and sew it and turn it the other way around like this. Can you guys see? So do you guys see? For the front, I will go ahead and also do the same thing. I'll just go to my machine and turn it the other way around and sew it. Can you guys see? After I have finished joining it, well, after I'm done joining it, can you guys see the lower part is still straight, is not V. So you just go ahead and sew this like this. You just turn it this way. You're going to turn it this way and sew it like this, and turn it the other way around and sew it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on my machine. For the sleeve, I'm going to share with you guys the sewing tips and tricks or sewing technique that I use for my elastic casing. So elastic band. So remember that we notch this place for the elastic. What I usually do, I don't usually take the measurement of the sleeve. What I usually do is, because sometimes the elastic are not the same, the elasticity is not the same, so I might tell you use 11 inches for this one, and when you get another elastic, it will be another measurement. So what I usually do is I will just go to my machine, place this like this, and stretch it to the fullest elasticity and stretch it to the elastic limit. Can you guys see? By the time I stretch it, there is no going back. It will just pull on its own and give me the right measurement that I want. So I'm just going to go to my machine now, place this like this, and stretch it to the fullest and sew it like that. Just sew it from one end to the other, and it will gather it to the expected whatever. So guys, the next thing I would do is, after putting the elastic, I'm going to close the side seam. After closing the side seam, I just go ahead and close the side seam after putting the elastic. Next thing I would do is, on my main material like this, on the bodice like this, I'm just going to place this like this. Can you guys see this place? See where I stopped, and there is allowance for me to put my armhole. So I will place this like this and place the sleeve. So remember, this is the allowance. I'll close the allowance and place this like this. Wherever this stops, I'm going to notch it on this place, and I notch it on this place, and I'm going to fold this side to put the elastic on this side, and then this one would be for the armhole of this one. So that's what I'm going to go to my machine now and do.